Today, we're heading somewhere truly unique. Forget mountains and plains for a second. Picture stepping into this living enigma, a place where the land itself feels, well, alive, sentient almost.
You're talking about Black Marsh.
Exactly. Dense, ancient swamps, this perpetual twilight filtering through these huge, giant spore trees, their roots just tangled in the muck.
It's completely unlike anywhere else in Tamriel. It feels older somehow, like it plays by different rules.
And right at the heart of it all, we find the architects of this strangeness.
That brings us to the core of today's deep dive. The Hist.
Right.
And it's crucial to understand the Hist aren't just, interesting trees. They're described in our sources as this ancient collective mind, the true root minder of the Argonians.
Root minder, I like that.
Yeah, and their origins, they go way back, predating almost every other race we know in Tamriel, back when Nirn was still, finding its shape.
And there's some really wild lore around that, isn't there? About the Hist being potentially more.
Oh, absolutely. Some sources genuinely position the Hist as maybe Tamriel's original creator. A being that doesn't just watch things happen, but actively shapes destiny. Like the world is its project.
Wow. Okay.
And if that wasn't mind-bending enough, there's this persistent idea, which we'll definitely dig into, that the Hist might not even be from Nirn originally.
Extraplanar, like from Oblivion or somewhere else entirely.
Potentially. It adds this whole other layer of mystery, doesn't it?
It really does. So, okay, our mission today is basically to unpack this incredibly deep, sometimes confusing, but totally fascinating bond between the Hist and the Argonians.
We'll be tracing their influence through some key historical moments.
Yeah, like their, frankly, astonishing role during the Oblivion Crisis. That's a big one.
Definitely. And then there's the aftermath, this sudden shift leading to the Argonian invasion of Morrowind, the Accession War.
Really controversial, brutal conflict.
And finally, we have to tackle the Umbreal Crisis, that whole floating island thing. It's just baffling.
So get ready, everyone. This isn't going to be a dry lecture. We're aiming for a proper exploration. Sort of a shortcut to getting our head around one of Tamriel's most powerful and, frankly, weirdest entities.
What's really striking is just how deep this connection goes. The Hist isn't just in Black Marsh. It is Black Marsh, in a way. And it's inseparable from the Argonians.
So defining the Hist, these ancient thinking spore trees, mainly in the deepest parts of the swamp.
Exactly. But the key takeaway, the thing you have to grasp, is that it's not individual trees thinking their own thoughts. It's a unified collective consciousness.
Like a hive mind, but trees.
Sort of, yeah. Imagine one vast mind spread across countless physical trees, all networked together through roots and, consciousness itself, permeating the whole land.
They're the true root minder guiding the whole race. Their culture, their biology, everything.
Pretty much. It's a relationship unlike anything else we see in Tamriel. It's fundamental to what an Argonian is.
And that theory about them not being from Nirn, that just adds a whole other level. How does that work?
Well, the speculation is intense. We're talking about beings that might have been here before Nirn as we know it, or arrived from somewhere else entirely, yet they're now fundamentally part of this world, tied to one specific race.
It's like they were planted here, seeded from another reality.
It's a staggering idea, and it ties into mentions of the realm of the Hist.
Ah, yes. Not just another Oblivion plane like the Bedlands, right? Something different.
Exactly. It's described as this mysterious pocket realm, maybe more conceptual, a realm of shared consciousness, perhaps. Time and space might work differently there. It highlights how alien the Hist might truly be.
And some lore even connects them to the creation myths, like Padme and Anu.
Yeah, some sources suggest the Hist originated from Padme's anger, shaped or coalesced by Anu. If true, that makes them primordial, born from the very struggle that created the Orbis.
So not just ancient, but foundational, existing before the world really settled.
Precisely. A power that predates almost everything.
Okay, so if the Hist is this ancient collective, maybe even alien consciousness, how does that translate to the Argonians day to day? It's clearly more than just respect or worship.
Oh, much, much more. The connection is intrinsic. It's biological. Argonian souls are fundamentally tied to the Hist from the moment they hatch.
They're called the people of the root, right?
Exactly. That name captures it perfectly. It's not just culture. It's their very being. Their consciousness is plugged into the Hist, you could say, like cells in a bigger body.
The Hist is the parent, the Argonians are the children, in a very literal sense.
In a very real biological and spiritual sense, yes.
And this connection shows up in some really unique ways, especially with the Hist sap. This isn't just tree sap, is it?
Not at all. We're talking about something potent, mystical. It has properties that can fundamentally change an Argonian.
Change them how? Physically? Mentally?
Both. Drinking the sap can trigger visions, letting Argonians tap into the Hist's collective mind, maybe even glimpse the future. It allows for physical transformation.
Transformation. It's like a shape-shifting.
Not exactly shape-shifting, but adapting. Changing their physiology to survive in totally different environments. That's how Argonians can thrive way outside Black Marsh, in deserts or frozen lands. It rewires them, deepens their understanding, aligns their individual thoughts with the collective will. It's how their shamans, the tree minders, tap into that huge pool of energy and knowledge, perform acts that seem magical.
But power like that, it usually comes with a catch, right? There has to be a downside.
There absolutely is. His sap is dangerous stuff if not approached correctly, especially for non-Argonians.
What happens then?
Well, our sources mention intense hallucinations, paranoia, even this terrifying state described as a murderous frenzy.
Whoa!
We saw that with the Blackwood Company mercenaries. They tried using his sap, thinking they could just harness its power.
Bad idea.
Terrible idea. Without that deep, innate Argonian connection, it drove them mad. Uncontrollable violence. It shows the sap isn't just a substance, it's an extension of the Hist's will. Benevolent to its children, potentially lethal to outsiders who try to exploit it.
Okay, so the Hist is this huge collective mind guiding the Argonians. But how does that actually work on a large scale? Politically, militarily? Trees don't exactly issue commands.
Right, that's where the Anzil come into play.
The political party.
Exactly. An influential, powerful Argonian political party that rose to prominence specifically because they operate directly under the Hist's guidance. They're the translators.
So they take the Hist's intentions, its will, and turn it into policy, into action.
Precisely. They translate that collective consciousness into unified political and military strategy. They're the Hist's executive arm, its voice in the world. It makes them incredibly effective, able to mobilize the entire Argonian population with a unity other races can only dream of.
A government literally run by a tree mind collective. That's something.
It is. And it makes you think the Hist always speaks with one voice, right? Perfect harmony.
Yeah, you'd assume so.
But it's actually more complicated. Turns out, not all Hists are exactly the same. There are variations, even outliers.
Like different personalities within the collective.
Sort of. Different functions, maybe different perspectives. First, there's the dreaming tree.
Okay, what's special about that one?
It's vital for Argonian collective memory. Think of it as a living archive for their shared history, especially for a group called the Remnant. It allows them to access, to feel, millennia of their people's experiences.
So history isn't just learned, it's relived.
Exactly. It anchors their identity, ensures the past directly informs the present. It's a profound connection to their ancestors and their collective journey.
Okay. Then there's the one people might have actually seen outside Black Marsh. The sleeping tree in Skyrim.
Ah, yes, the weird leafless one near Whiterun. It looks almost dead, but it's not.
And its sap is different too.
Very different. People value it. Apparently gives you a health boost, but also makes you slow, blurs your vision. A strange mix. Not the transformative stuff from Black Marsh.
And the weirdest part is the lore connecting it to Umbriel.
Right. Some say it's a cousin to Umbriel. Theories range from it growing from a rock flung from Red Mountain during the eruption to maybe a spore drifting from Umbriel itself.
Which implies the Hist might spread in ways we don't understand, beyond Black Marsh.
It certainly hints at that, a much wider, more mysterious presence.
And then, the ultimate proof that the Hist isn't always unified. The rogue Hist of Lilmoth.
This one is fascinating. A history that somehow got disconnected from the main collective for over 300 years.
3 centuries? How does that even happen?
We don't fully know, but that long separation gave it a unique, independent viewpoint. It developed its own thoughts, you could say.
And it actually disagreed with the main Hist?
Yes. Most famously, it advised the Anzil to ignore what the other Hist wanted during a particular situation.
So dissent within the hive mind.
It seems so. A rare instance of internal divergence. It really complicates the picture of a single monolithic Hist will. Makes you wonder how unified the collective truly is, and if other rogue thoughts are possible.
Okay, let's shift gears. We've talked about the Hist's nature, its connection. Now let's look at its actions on the grand stage, starting with the Oblivion Crisis. A terrifying time for almost everyone in Tamriel.
An absolute cataclysm. Maroons, Dagons, Daedra pouring out of Oblivion gates everywhere, cities burning, chaos reigning, just devastation across the board.
Cyrodiil, Skyrim, Morrowind, everywhere felt it. Existential threat level.
No question.
Yeah.
Survival was the only thing on most people's minds. The future of Tamriel looked incredibly bleak.
And yet, Black Marsh. Our sources say it was barely touched. Minimal devastation. How? While the rest of the world burned.
It comes back to the Hist. Specifically, its incredible, almost unbelievable prophetic foresight.
It knew the invasion was coming.
Apparently, yes. With remarkable accuracy. Long before the first gate even opened, the Hist sensed it. And it didn't just sit on that information.
What did it do?
It initiated the Great Recall. Sent out a psychic call. A warning, pulling Argonians from all over Tamriel back home to Black Marsh.
Like a mass evacuation before the disaster even hit.
Exactly. Imagine Argonians everywhere, dockworkers in Anvil, miners in Skyrim, servants in Morrowind, suddenly dropping everything, driven by this undeniable urge to return home. It must have been a bizarre sight across the continent, a mass migration driven by unseen forces.
Just recalling them would be amazing enough. But the Hist did more, didn't it? It didn't just prepare them for defense.
No, this is where it gets truly astonishing. The Hist directly intervened. It actively empowered the Argonians, rerouting them for battle.
Rerouting? What does that mean?
Altering their physiology through that deep connection, making them stronger, faster, more resilient, tailor-made to fight Daedra.
Wow.
And then the masterstroke. Under the Hist's guidance, the Argonians didn't just defend the borders of Black Marsh, they went on the offensive.
Offensive?
Against Oblivion. Yes. They launched a counter-invasion. They charged into the Oblivion gates, taking the fight directly to the Daedra on their home turf within Moroni's Dagon's Deadlands.
Wait, they invaded Oblivion while everyone else was just trying not to get overrun?
Precisely. Turned the tables completely.
Yeah.
And an incredibly audacious, almost unthinkable strategy.
That worked.
It worked spectacularly. They were so effective, so relentless, that the Daedra were forced to close their own gates inside Black Marsh just to stop the Argonian onslaught. They essentially cleared their province by conquering parts of Oblivion.
That's incredible. It shows the Hest isn't just wise, it's a military strategist on a cosmic scale.
Absolutely. Leveraging that unique bond, that unity, to achieve something no one else could even attempt.
Okay, so the Oblivion Crisis ends. Black Marsh is safe thanks to the Hist. You'd think, okay, time to rebuild, recover.
That would be the logical assumption.
But that's not the Hist's way, apparently, because its focus shifted dramatically, right, from defense to something else entirely.
Immediately. A crisis ends, and the Hist's collective will pivots. The new directive. Retribution.
Retribution against whom?
Against Morrowind, its neighbor.
Why Morrowind? What was the trigger?
History. Deep, painful history.
Huh.
The Hist's directive was fueled by centuries of Dunmer enslavement of Argonians.
Ah, the long history of slavery.
Exactly. Yeah. Centuries of brutal oppression, suffering, being treated as less than people. The Hist, with its perfect long memory, never forgot.
So the Oblivion Crisis ends, and the Hist basically says, okay, now it's payback time.
Pretty much. The sources frame it as an act of vengeance, yes, but also liberation. A reckoning for generations of suffering, orchestrated by the Hist's collective memory and its desire for justice, or perhaps just balancing the scales.
And the Anzile were the ones to carry this out.
They were instrumental. They took the Hist's command and turned that oppressed population into this disciplined, motivated, conquering army, executing the Hist's will with chilling efficiency.
Which led to the Accession War, 4E5. This wasn't a small thing.
Not at all. It was a ferocious, full-scale invasion of southern Morrowind. The Argonians poured across the border with an intensity that shocked everyone.
And they timed it perfectly, didn't they? Morrowind was already reeling.
Exactly. They exploited Morrowind's weakness after the Red Year, the eruption of Red Mountain just a few years earlier.
Right, the eruption that devastated Vardenfell and mainland Morrowind, cities destroyed, chaos everywhere.
Morrowind was incredibly vulnerable. Ash storms, famine, political instability. The Hist saw the opportunity, the Anvil seized it. It wasn't just opportunistic, it felt calculated. Strike when your ancient enemy is at their absolute weakest.
And they made serious gains, right? Actually took territory.
Oh yes. They captured major cities in the south, Stormhold, the capital Mournhold, Tear, significant conquests. It completely changed the power balance of the region.
Did the Dunmer ever get those cities back?
Some areas were eventually reclaimed after long fighting, but our sources indicate much of southern Morrowind remained under Argonian control for a long time. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about the Hist reshaping the map, asserting Argonian power, changing their place in Tamriel from victims to a major force. It shows the Hist plays the long game. Centuries long.
Okay, so the Hist saves its people, then immediately sends them on a brutal war of vengeance. It's complex, but then comes Umbriel. This just throws everything sideways, doesn't it?
Umbriel is, yeah. Umbriel is a massive curveball, a genuine enigma.
So its origin, a floating island from Oblivion.
Correct. Specifically from the Fields of Regret, a realm associated with Clavic as Vile. But the truly critical, deeply unsettling part is that Umbriel contained a piece of the Hist.
A piece, like a literal chunk of a history or its consciousness.
Their sources imply a living part of the Hist consciousness, somehow embedded within this Oblivion-born island, which immediately blows your mind. Was it broken off, stolen, sent there intentionally?
So many questions. A rogue fragment, maybe? Or part of some plan we can't even guess at.
Exactly. Either way, it challenges the idea of the Hist as this perfectly unified, contained entity. A piece of it, floating around, tied to a Daedric prince's realm. It's disturbing.
And this island, Umbriel, it caused massive destruction wherever it went, right? Harvesting souls.
Absolutely devastating.
Oh.
It drifted across Tamriel, leaving death and ecological disaster in its wake. Except
when it got to Black Marsh.
Right. When Umbriel passed over the Hist's homeland, the place it supposedly originated from, there was remarkably little damage. Compared to everywhere else, Black Marsh got off incredibly lightly.
Why? Did the main Hist protect its territory, shield it somehow?
That's one theory, that the collective consciousness exerted some kind of protective influence.
Or did the piece of Hist inside Umbriel recognize its home, its kin, and chose not to harm it?
That's the other chilling possibility, that this rogue fragment still retained some connection, some memory, and deliberately spared Black Marsh. Either way, it points to a conscious decision, an interaction we don't understand.
And the island had inhabitants? These sleepers?
Yes, another layer of weirdness. Beings supposedly born, fully formed, living short lives, their souls then harvested to power Umbriel, almost like biological machines.
Are they connected to the Hist too? Are they some kind of twisted Argonian variant created by this rogue piece?
It's highly speculative, but the possibility is there. It blurs the lines even further. What can a fragment of the Hist do when separated and influenced by Oblivion?
Okay, but the absolute strangest part for me is how the main Hist reacted, or rather, didn't react. You'd expect outrage, right? There's a piece of us in that Death Island.
You would. But
Yeah.
the sources say when an Argonian directly asked the Hist about Umbriel, about that piece, the collective response was denial.
Denial.
They said, essentially, that the piece of Hist within Umbriel was not from them. They disowned it.
What? How is that even possible? If it's Hist, it's Hist, right?
Apparently not, according to the Hist itself, which just deepens the mystery. Was it lying? Was it a fragment so ancient or mutated that it was no longer recognizable? Was it intentionally cast off long ago? We just don't know. It leaves Umbriel as this massive unresolved question mark about the true nature and potential fragmentation of the Hist.
So, wrapping this all up, we've journeyed through some incredibly strange and powerful lore. The Hist-Argonian bond is clearly unique in Tamriel.
Utterly unique. That species-wide connection allows for actions like the Oblivion counter-invasion, the great recall that no other race could manage. That unity is their defining trait, their greatest strength.
But it makes you wonder, as a listener, what's it like to be an Argonian, to have your consciousness potentially tied to, maybe even part of, this vast collective mind? Where does the individual end and the Hist begin?
It's a profound philosophical question inherent in their existence. Is there true free will, or is it always filtered through the needs and desires of the root?
And that brings us to the biggest question. What is the Hist's endgame? What does it actually want? Is it fundamentally good, protecting its children?
Or is it manipulative, using the Argonians for its own unfathomable purposes?
Or maybe just alien, operating on a level where good and evil don't even apply, driven by millennia-long plans we can't possibly comprehend?
That's the paradox, isn't it? It saves them from Oblivion, showing incredible care. Then it immediately sends them into a brutal war based on ancient history. Protector and aggressor, all at once.
It forces you to ask, do the ends justify the means for the Hist? Can we even judge its morality by our standards?
Probably not. Its timescale, its perspective.
Yeah.
It's likely beyond mortal grasp.
So looking forward, the Hist is still there, still influencing the Argonians, still a massive power in Tamriel. What does that mean for the future?
That's the lingering thought, isn't it? Will it drive more conflicts? Will it continue to reshape the Argonians, maybe into something even more different? Or lead them somewhere completely unexpected?
It remains this powerful, enigmatic force, always working towards some unknown destiny. A silent, ancient presence shaping the future in ways we can only guess at. Leaves you with more questions than answers, really.
Which is often the case with the deepest parts of Tamriel's lore. The mystery is part of the fascination.